It's Sunday morning, the 21st of April, and I'm in the western Knockmealdowns. This is the Crow Hill car park, and I'm doing a solo hike this morning as far as Knockmealdowns and a few points further east, probably. These are the western Knockmealdowns, not as regularly visited by hikers perhaps as the more interesting Sugarloaf and Knockmealdown Peak itself, further east up by a couple of miles. Nevertheless, they are nice, gentle, rolling hills and a fine hike on a beautiful day like today. Absolutely magnificent sunshine and absolutely a great day to be out on the hills. Normally I'm out with a few companions, but they were on a hike yesterday and I couldn't be there. I had to be elsewhere, as they say. So I couldn't let this weekend pass without taking opportunity of the absolutely magnificent weather and to get out into the Knockmealdowns, a range of mountains that I absolutely love. And yes, it's rare that we get a day like today after several months of almost unrelenting rain. It is spectacular to have this kind of weather, so it would be a shame to waste the opportunity. When I'm in the mountains, I rely on a Garmin GPS unit to guide my way. I don't use a map or compass. I find that the GPS unit with the track downloaded onto it is highly reliable and works in even the most horrendous weather conditions where a map would be of little, if any, use. Last year, I did the Galtee Challenge Walk from east to west, the bones of 30 kilometres. Weather conditions, especially in the latter half, were pretty horrendous, and the GPS unit kept me on the straight and narrow, so to speak, in conditions where a map and compass would be of little or any use. So yes, for me, the Garmin eTrex 32, which is the one I use, is highly reliable, and I would not go into the hills without it. In a couple of days' time, I'll be celebrating my 72nd trip around the sun. Where did that time go? I first climbed a mountain, Knockmealdown as it happens, when I was about 18, 19 years of age. I drove my motorbike from Youghal up to the V, and I climbed Knockmealdown on a day indeed like today. Absolutely beautiful, still, clear, and from that day on I was bitten by the bug of hill walking. I know people much younger than myself indeed, who are unable to do this because of various health issues. So long may I be able to continue. But of course, one never knows what lies in store. The only thing is, as my wife reminds me, I have good genes. My mum died 2 years ago at the ripe old age of 106. So who knows? I might still be doing this kind of thing unless I go completely gaga for another 10 years or so. One never knows. And this is the summit of Knockmealdowns. The name derives from the Irish Knock and Shan Culin, the hill of the old holly. Off in the distance, the magnificent Galties. So that was the summit of Knockmealdowns. But it would be a pity to head back at this early stage, far too early in the day. So we'll mosey on to some points further east. The longest solo hike I've ever done is the Camino Frances in northern Spain. I did it over a few years. A lot of the Camino devotees suggest that going on a solo hike of the Camino is a means of finding oneself, of thinking deep thoughts about life, the universe, and everything. I'm afraid in my case, I tended to end up walking long stretches, trying to remember the lyrics of 1960s pop songs. Somebody said, I've got hidden shallows. No. I have little time for that kind of philosophizing. Just enjoy the here and now. Enjoy the experience. Forget about finding oneself. A subject beloved of Americans, I think, in particular, judging by the posts one sees on the Camino forums. Hiking these mountains is not dissimilar in many ways to walking the Camino. Now, the Camino is a very defined path for the most part, whereas in the mountains, tracks peter off every now and then. where they exist at all. So it's a bit more challenging. One has to be vigilant at all times to make sure one is on the right track, literally speaking. Very easy to get lost. Not on a day like today, granted, because of the perfect visibility, but when the weather comes in and fog descends, then you need to be able to navigate and avoid calling out the mountain rescue people, which thankfully I've never had to do. I have gotten lost in the mountains a few times in my pre-Garmin GPX days, but not since then. And hopefully never again. But yes, you have to be vigilant at all times and be careful. Tell people where you're going, what time to be expected back, etc., etc. All those good health and safety measures. Keep yourselves safe on the hills, folks. I'm now ascending Knockmealdowns. To the west is Knockmealdowns, from whence I came. And this is a gentle ascent towards the next hill on the route, Knockmealdowns. Walking along like this solo on this nice, pleasant ground induces an almost meditative kind of sense. Hill walking isn't just about physical well-being, it's also about one's mental health. When you're on the hills, negotiating a particular track, finding one's way, making sure you don't put a foot wrong into a bog hole or whatever, being consciously aware of the physical surroundings, being vigilant for any possible dangers. You don't have time to be dwelling on any issues that might be affecting you in real life, so to speak. So yes, being out on the hills is good for body and soul, as they say. And this is Knockmealdowns. Off to the east there, the ridge of the Knockmealdowns, with Knockmealdown on the extreme right. To the west is Knockmealdowns, from whence we came. What a beautiful place. What a magnificent day. if I were to continue on in a straight line, it would bring me down to the road, and from there one could ascend the Sugarloaf and go along the ridge towards Knockmealdown, a ridge I've climbed many times and always a source of great enjoyment. However, I am not doing that today. Instead, I'm veering south along the fence line, and this is part of my loop route today, which will eventually take me back westwards towards the car park. Off to my left, the ridge of the Knockmealdowns. Wow, it's really hot now. This is the hottest I've experienced so far this year. Long may it continue. Time to leave the forestry track and head up into the mountain. This section is definitely the toughest part of today's climb. Before very long though, I'll be on the top, and then it's a pretty straightforward, easy walk back to the car park. Car park is now in sight, and thus will end this 11.6 kilometre hike in the western Knockmealdowns. A most enjoyable day, thanks to the outstanding weather. This is a place which I will no doubt return to again before too very long. In the meantime, until next time, adios amigos.